Hi, it's Jen. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to bring you a video today on vertical sleeve gastrectomy and eating out. I was sleeved on April of 2017 and my starting weight was 240 pounds and I am now between 168 and 172. And obviously, you know, before I was sleeved, I ate out, and now I eat out now. I didn't eat though right after I was sleeved. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring you some tips, some tricks on eating out with your family or your friends. It's something we all generally like to do, but it can be a lot more difficult when you have VSG. So when I was first sleeved, like I said, I didn't really eat out very much, but obviously with time I wanted to. And what my number one suggestion would be, if you know where you're going to eat, look up that place online before you go. Look at their menu, see what you can eat, see what your sleeve is comfortable with. Normally like 2 ounces in the beginning. I can eat up to 4 ounces now. That doesn't guarantee I can eat 4 ounces. So I generally try to look for something smaller if it's just me eating, or I plan, and the second tip would be plan on sharing food with who you're with. If they know you're sleeved and they're willing to share with you, that's great. I share with my daughter, but she has to file some rules and caveats in order for us to eat the same meal. One of my rules is no bread. My other rule is no rice, no pasta, nothing very carb heavy, and I also cannot eat anything fried. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of wiggle room when it comes to foods. But, you know, I know there are foods that I can eat and foods that make me comfortable. So I know I can eat salmon as long as it's not really spicy. I know I can eat some salads with dressings. A lot of times vegetables, very soft proteins. Most of the time I can have burgers, things like that, but I can't eat the bun or anything major like fried on it. So definitely, you know, look up the menu, try to figure out maybe what you're going to eat and decide if you're sharing something or if not. You know, my big tip would be get a takeout box. So my second tip is get a takeout box. And I don't mean get a takeout box when you're done. I mean get a takeout box when you start. So I order my meal comes, and I immediately say, hey, can I get a box? And they bring me my box, and I put almost 90% of my food in the box. That way I'm avoiding questions, because people will ask you questions like, is there something wrong with your meal? Oh, can I get you something different? And the questions will just keep coming, and then some people will just keep picking and picking and picking. And it can be kind of hard and give you some anxiety, and it's a lot easier just to put the food in the box and they don't even ask you questions then, because they don't really know how much you ate or how much you didn't eat. And along with that kind of caveat, I mentioned sharing. I end up ordering meals that I know everybody's going to eat, because it's hard to just order something that maybe doesn't have bread or pasta or rice. So I will order sides that encompass the rest of my table, because I know if I get the French fries that somebody else will eat them, or if I get the salad and I can't eat all of it, somebody else is going to eat it. Therefore, I'm not left with all this food on my plate. I'm also not enduring all these questions from the waiter or the waitress. It makes my life so much easier. Again, the other tip would be, if you look at the menu before you go, just note down anything you know you can't have. And if you don't, and you're new to the restaurant, be very cautious. So that's my tip 3, is be cautious if you don't know the food. Look at the spices. Don't be afraid to ask without. If it looks like something you've never had, I wouldn't suggest experimenting, but if you know you take off things or order it without, I'd say go for it, because that way you're not pigeonholing yourself into a disaster. So what do I mean by a disaster? Well, with a vertical sleeve gastrectomy, if you are sleeved, you may already know what I'm talking about. If you're not, what I'm talking about is you end up getting sick. Sometimes my pouch will get too full and the food will sit right here in my chest. Like I just actually ate and I'm very full and I feel very full, but I think I'm pretty good and I haven't had any like interruptions of like the food starting to come up. But it will sit here until it's ready to come out. My nose will start to run. I will get the burps and then I will start not hiccuping, but sometimes I will, or it will just be very uncomfortable. So those are kind of all little tiny indications like that I'm going to get sick. And it's really pretty hard to avoid because all of that food has to go somewhere and it can't go down, so it's gonna come up and you need to be prepared for that. That's why I say don't experiment. It's not a really good idea to go experimenting at a restaurant because you really don't want to have to go throw up in the toilet at a restaurant. I still have this problem because not necessarily because I overeat, but sometimes it's because there are foods that I find that don't agree with me. Like I know for a fact that Chipotle is not my restaurant. Cannot eat there. There's nothing on that menu that can go into my stomach and not cause me a problem. So when my husband and my kids want to go to Chipotle, I have to go somewhere else. And that's the way it is. It's nothing against Chipotle, just Chipotle doesn't like my sleeve, you know? And I find all the time that various foods like will vary on spice or vary on, what's in the contents. And it doesn't end up well for me. I went to a restaurant I always go to the other day and I got something and it was a variant and it was fried. And I didn't really realize it was fried. It was like an eggplant and usually it's not fried, but it was. And I was like, and it ended up bad for me. So those are kind of some of my tips that I suggest with eating out. And once you know what is comfortable and what you're able to eat, make notes in a journal or a notebook or something about the things you can eat, the things that are easy for you to eat, and just keep those in your mind when you're out to eat with your family or your friends. So that kind of ends my portion of eating out. And I will segue a little bit into when you eat like at work or people at work are ordering food or you're at some kind of potluck. And basically I had a lot of this at my last job. I have some of it at my new job. It's hard because people bring food in and they want you to try it. I just avoid it. Flat out avoid it. I bring my own food. I just make a small plate and I maybe 1 or 2 little bites of something, but it just makes my life easier. And if it's like a thing where you're bringing in a dish, I always bring in something I know that I can eat. It doesn't always work out in your favor, but I'm just giving you that piece of advice. When people order in meals at your work, I suggest just bringing in your meal and explain that you have diet restrictions because that pizza is not going to go in well or out well, I promise. And it just makes it much easier if you just bring your own food and eat your own food. They won't be upset, especially if you say you have diet restrictions. Because the other day, they had ordered some kosher meals in because there's someone else I work that has diet restrictions. Something was spicy, and I ate a little piece of it, and it made me very ill. So it's just easier to just eat what I know is good, period. So I'm hoping that will help you as well. I will post more videos on food and eating out and eating with others. And I will tell you some like the worst and the best experiences I've had. Please feel free to hit the like button if you like these kind of videos with vertical sleeve. I will be happy to post more videos on my experiences and some tips and recommendations. Also, I'd love you to hit the subscribe button and join my VSG and my thrift hauls and all my other videos that I post and just join me on my journey. And also hit the notification bell to be notified when I do post videos. I know it doesn't always work, but I do try. to post 1 or 2 videos a week when I have time. I hope to have a video in the next few hours on some other things. But if you are a sleever, thanks for watching. If you're going to get sleeved, I hope some of these tips help you, or you take some notes when you start your journey, because it's really helpful, because this is how I learned when I first was sleeved, and it's how I still learn being sleeved, and how I continue to lose weight and keep on my journey. So thank you, and you have a good one.